Today we'll talk about the exception to law of independent assortment. We have seen what the law of independent assortment is, what is law of segregation, what is law of dominance, and law of unit character. So law of independent assortment, it deals with two characters, it deals with two genes. It says that two genes assort independently of each other during gamete formation, or when two or more pairs of alleles are combined in an individual, the alleles segregate at the time of gamete formation, or the inheritance of one character is independent of the inheritance of the other character. But this law of independent assortment, it has got exception, it has got objection, that is in the form of linkage. So linkage is exception to law of independent assortment. For law of independent assortment, linkage is exception to law of independent assortment. Law of independent assortment is applicable when the genes are located on different chromosomes. If the genes are located on the same chromosome, law of independent assortment is inapplicable. So law of independent assortment applicable when genes are located on different chromosomes. Inapplicable when law of independent assortment inapplicable when genes located on same chromosome. For example, when the genes are located on the same chromosome, they would show linkage. For example, it would be like this. There are two homologous chromosomes. This is, for example, allele A, small a. This is B and small b. So these are alleles on same chromosome. So they will show linkage. That means when the alleles are present on the same chromosome, the genes are present on the same chromosome, they would show linkage, or they are called as linked genes. Linked genes are those genes which are located on the same locus on the same chromosome. They are located at the same chromosome, at the same locus on homologous chromosomes. So these are, and they would show linkage. They would show these are inherited, these alleles are inherited together. They are inherited together, and they would show linkage. Linked genes are inherited together. These linked genes, they are inherited together. That is, they show linkage. So what I mean to say is that law of independent assortment is applicable when the Law of independent is applicable when the genes are located on different chromosomes. It would be like this. For example, if we have got this one, so law of independent assortment is applicable here. Law of independent assortment is applicable here. I told you that linkage is exception to law of independent assortment, and law of independent assortment is applicable when the genes are located on different chromosomes. This is one pair of homologous chromosomes, another pair of homologous chromosomes. The genes are located on different chromosomes and they are inherited independently. They will assort independent of each other during gamete formation. What when genes are located on same chromosome? So this is genes located on same chromosome. This is genes are located on same chromosome. So we can say that this is the case where law of independent assortment applicable. Law of independent assortment applicable. Law of independent assortment is applicable, and this is a case where law of independent assortment is inapplicable. Inapplicable. This law of independent assortment is inapplicable. This is because of the fact that these genes are located on the same chromosome. They are present at the same locus. They are present at the same locus on a pair of homologous chromosomes, and they will be inherited together. These genes will not assort. These, for example, these are two genes. These two genes will not assort independent of each other, but they are inherited together during the transmission from parents to offsprings. So they will show what? They will show linkage. And law of independent assortment is inapplicable in case of linkage, where the genes are linked. So we can say that linkage is exception to law of independent assortment. Law of independent assortment is applicable when the genes are located on different chromosomes. At that time, law of independent assortment is applicable. This case, if the genes are located on the same chromosome, then law of independent assortment is inapplicable. And when the genes are located on the same chromosome, they are called as linked genes. So what are the linked genes? These are linked genes. Linked genes are those genes which are located at the same locus on a pair of homologous chromosomes. And these linked genes, they will stay together. Linked genes stay together during the inheritance from parents to offsprings. So that is why law of independent assortment is inapplicable in case of linked genes, and it is applicable where the genes are present on different chromosomes. Now the question arises that this Mendel, why Mendel missed linkage? Why Mendel missed linkage? Mendel was fortunate enough to select pea plant for his hybridization experiments, and in the pea plant linkage was absent. In the pea plant, the seven characteristics which were studied by seven contrasting characters which were studied by the Mendel, these were present on four chromosomes of pea plant. They were present on chromosome 1, 4, 5 and 7. The seven characteristics which are studied by Mendel were present on the four chromosomes of the pea plant, the chromosome 1st, 4th, 5th and 7th. and total number of chromosomes in pea plant is, that is, total number of chromosomes in pea plant, that is 14. It means 7 pair of homologous chromosomes. As they were present on the 4 chromosome pea plant, but these genes for these characters were distantly located on these chromosomes. On these 4 chromosomes, the genes were distantly located, that they exhibited what? They exhibited crossing over. And these genes exhibited crossing over and not linkage. They exhibited what? Crossing over and not linkage. We know that crossing over is inversely proportional to linkage. If there is crossing over, the chances for the linkage will get reduced. In other words, we can say that if the genes are closely located on the chromosome, they would show what? They would show closely located genes will show linkage, and distantly located genes on a chromosome will show crossing over. So we can write distantly located genes on a chromosome. Distantly located genes on a chromosome. Distantly located genes on a chromosome show what? Crossing over. And closely located genes on a chromosome, they show linkage. And in case of pea plant, these genes were present on 4 chromosomes, 1, 4, 5 and 7th chromosome, and these genes were distantly located on the chromosomes, that they exhibited what? They exhibited crossing over. They exhibited crossing over and not linkage. That is why Mendel missed linkage, and he was fortunate enough to select pea plant for his hybridization experiments. Because if there would have been the linkage, then his calculations would be complicated. So this linkage is exception to law of independent assortment. Same is the case. Incomplete dominance is exception to law of dominance, and gene interaction between the genes, that is an exception to law of unit character. So among the laws, law of segregation is one of the universally accepted law. Still, it is not applicable to the haploids. Thanks.